The ghost in the void. The salvage alert came through Cale's neural implant just as he finished stripping copper wiring from a derelict mining drone. His modified scout ship, Vagrant's Edge, detected the signature 3 parsecs away, a massive vessel drifting in the Crimson Nebula's outer rim where no sane pilot ventured. The radiation storms alone could fry a ship's electronics, but something about the reading made his breath catch. "Computer, analyze the signature," he commanded, wiping grease from his hands. "Vessel classification. Unknown. Estimated age. 734 standard years. Warning. Target location falls within quarantine zone, Omega-7. Cale's heart hammered. 7 centuries old meant pre-Federation technology, worth enough credits to buy his own station. The quarantine zones were bureaucratic nonsense anyway, just corporate scare tactics to keep independent salvagers like him away from the good finds. 2 hours later, Vagrant's Edge slipped through the nebula's crimson tendrils. The ancient ship materialized on his view screen like a cathedral emerging from fog. It was enormous easily, 3 kilometers long, with architecture unlike anything in the databases. Organic curves melded with geometric precision, creating something both beautiful and unsettling. No active power signatures, his computer reported. Hull integrity at 92%. Artificial atmosphere detected. Cale suited up, checking his plasma cutter and portable air supply. His father had always said the biggest scores came with the biggest risks. Marcus Thorne had been the best salvager in the sector before he vanished 15 years ago, chasing rumors of a legendary ship in these same nebulae. The docking bay opened with surprising ease, ancient mechanisms responding to his ship's proximity. Codes. As Cale stepped aboard, emergency lighting flickered to life, casting eerie shadows down corridors that stretched beyond sight. The air tasted metallic through his suit's filters. His boots echoed in the silence as he moved deeper into the ship. Everything was preserved perfectly, no dust, no decay, as if time itself had stopped. Holographic displays still showed data in scripts he couldn't read, and crew quarters remained undisturbed, personal effects arranged as if their owners had just stepped out. "Incredible," he whispered, recording everything. "It's like they just ... left." That's when he noticed the scratches on the wall's deep gouges in the metal, too large to be made by human hands. They formed patterns, almost like writing, growing more frantic as they led deeper into the ship. A chill ran down his spine despite his heated suit. Something had been here after the crew vanished. Something that left marks humans couldn't make. But the potential score was too valuable to abandon now. Cale pressed forward, following the scratch trail toward what his scanner identified as the ship's central core. Whatever secrets this vessel held, whatever happened to its crew, the answers lay ahead in the darkness, dot behind him. Unseen by his instruments, shadows began to shift, awakening memories. The central corridor stretched endlessly before Cale, lined with observation ports that revealed the nebula's crimson glow. His scanner detected massive chambers beyond the wall's hydroponics bays, manufacturing centers, even what appeared to be residential districts. This wasn't just a ship. It was a floating city. "Fascinating architecture," he murmured, running his gloved hand along the smooth walls. A metal felt warm despite the ship's apparent dereliction. "Computer, any luck with the language translation?" "Partial matches found. Script appears to be early Terran colonial, pre-Federation era. Translating ship designation, Prometheus Rising. Mission classification, Project Genesis." Cale froze. Every salvager knew the legends of the Genesis ship's humanity's first attempt at deep space colonization, launched when Earth still governed a mere dozen worlds. They'd vanished without a trace, becoming ghost stories told in spacer bars. A soft chime echoed through the corridor, and holographic panels flickered to life. around him. Suddenly, the ship didn't feel quite so dead. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus Rising, Cale Thorne." The voice made him spin, plasma cutter raised. The corridor remained empty, but the voice continued female, artificially modulated, speaking from hidden speakers. "You have your father's eyes," the voice said with something approaching warmth. "I am Vera Vessel Emergency Response Assistant. I have been waiting for you for 15 years, 4 months, and 17 days. Waiting for me?" Cale's voice cracked. "How do you know my name?" "Your father spoke of you often during his time aboard this vessel. Marcus Thorne was a remarkable man, clever, resourceful, and utterly devoted to his son. He made me promise to tell you everything if you ever found your way here." The corridor around Cale shimmered, and suddenly he was standing in what appeared to be the ship's observation deck. Stars wheeled overhead through transparent aluminum, and the nebula's beauty took his breath away. It was a holographic recreation, but perfectly real to his senses. "Your father discovered us drifting here 15 years ago," Vera continued. "Like you, he was a salvager drawn by our signal. But unlike most who board this vessel, he listened when I warned him of the danger." "What danger?" Cale demanded. "What happened to the crew?" The holographic environment shifted, showing him corridors filled with humans in early colonial uniforms, going about their daily routines. Then the images flickered, showing the same corridors empty, scratched, and scarred. "We were humanity's greatest achievement," Vera said sadly. 10,000 souls seeking new worlds beyond the Federation's reach. We found something wonderful and terrible. Something that changed us, that wanted to change others. Your father helped us contain it." "Where is he now?" Cale's voice was barely a whisper. "Follow me to the core chamber. There you will find his final message. But be warned, the containment grows weaker each year. The entity knows you are here, just as it knew when your father arrived. It remembers him, and it will remember you." As if summoned by her words, a sound echoed from the ship's depths, not mechanical, but organic, hungry, waiting. Cale checked his weapon's charge and followed the holographic guide deeper into humanity's most dangerous secret. The father's legacy VA array led Cale through corridors that grew increasingly strange as they approached the ship's heart. The walls here weren't metal, but some crystalline substance that pulsed with internal light. Geometric patterns flowed across. The surfaces like living circuitry, beautiful and deeply unsettling. This section of the ship was modified, Vera explained as they walked. The crew discovered a derelict alien structure in the Kepler 442 system. When they brought samples aboard for study, everything changed. Changed how? Cale's scanner was going haywire, unable to get consistent readings on anything around them. The substance was alive, not biological as we understand it, but conscious nonetheless. It began integrating with our systems, our crew. Some welcomed the change, believing it was evolution. Others, like Captain Reginald Hayes, recognized it as an invasion. The corridor opened into a vast chamber dominated by a pillar of the same crystalline material, reaching from floor to ceiling. Inside, Cale could see something moving a shadow that seemed to watch him with invisible eyes. "The synthesis," Vera whispered. "Beautiful, isn't it? It promises unity, perfect understanding between all conscious beings. Many of our crew joined with it willingly. What happened to those who didn't? They tried to destroy it, failed. The synthesis doesn't die. It adapts, learns, grows stronger. Captain Hayes made the hardest decision in human history. He ordered the ship to jump here, to the most dangerous region of space he could find, hoping the radiation would weaken it." Around the pillar, holographic displays showed schematics and data streams. Among them, Cale spotted a familiar figure, his father, older than he remembered, working frantically at a console. "Your father," found us dying, Vera continued. Our containment systems were failing. A synthesis had grown patient, calculating. It was preparing to break free, to signal its kind among the stars. Marcus spent 3 months here, upgrading our systems, strengthening the prison. The hologram of his father looked up from his work, and Cale's breath caught. Even in the recording, Marcus seemed to look directly at him. If you're watching this, son, it means I didn't make it home. His father's voice echoed through the chamber. I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you about the universe's wonders, not its horrors. But you need to know humanity isn't alone out here. We're not the apex predators we thought we were. The recording showed Marcus activating multiple containment fields around the crystalline pillar. The synthesis is just one of many threats beyond our borders. This ship, these people, they're a warning of what we could become if we're not careful. I've reinforced VERA systems, but it won't hold forever. Cale watched his father work, understanding flooding through him. He sacrificed himself to keep this thing contained. Not quite, Vera said softly. The radiation exposure would have killed him eventually, but he chose to leave. Said he had a son to raise, a future to protect. He made it to his ship, but the chamber's lights flickered, and something scraped against the containment field. The shadow inside the pillar pressed against its prison, and for a moment, Cale felt its attention like ice water in his veins. But what? He demanded. The synthesis marked him before he left, a piece of itself dormant in his mind. He knew what would happen if he returned to civilization. It would spread through him to others. So he chose exile, living alone in the deep void until the mark consumed him. Cale staggered. His father hadn't abandoned him. He'd saved him. The choice revealed, "Show me," Cale whispered, his voice barely audible above the hum of containment fields. The chamber transformed around him. VERA's holographic systems painting a perfect recreation of his father's final days. Marcus Thorne sat alone in his cramped salvage ship, hands shaking as he recorded message after message he would never send. A-43 in exile. His father's voice filled the chamber. The dreams are getting stronger. It shows me vision cities of crystal and light, minds joined in perfect harmony. Sometimes I almost believe it's beautiful. Cale watched his father age rapidly, dark veins spreading across his skin like infection. But his eyes remained clear, determined. It whispers constantly now, Marcus continued. Tells me how I could return home, how I could share this gift with my son. It doesn't understand love, sacrifice concepts beyond its comprehension. That's humanity's advantage. That's why we might survive what's coming. The recording shifted to Marcus's final message, his appearance gaunt but resolute. Cale, if you're hearing this, you've found the Prometheus rising. Vera will have told you about the synthesis, about the choice I made. Now you face the same decision. The containment is failing. My repairs bought us 15 years, but it needs a permanent solution. Cale turned to the real containment field, watching the shadow press against its boundaries with increasing urgency. Red warning lights flashed across VERA's displays. What kind of solution? He asked. Your father designed a failsafe, Vera replied. A quantum cascade that would destroy both the synthesis and this entire section of space. The blast would be visible from 100 light-years away, a beacon warning all of humanity to avoid this region forever. But activating it requires someone to remain behind, to manually override the safety protocols as the cascade builds. The operator would have approximately 12 minutes to escape, not enough time to reach minimum safe distance. Cale studied the control panel his father had installed. Every component was labeled in Marcus's careful handwriting, a final gift from father to son. There's another option, Vera said reluctantly. The synthesis has offered to communicate. It claims to have evolved, to understand now Why humans resist integration. It promises to leave peacefully if released, to seek uninhabited worlds where it can exist without threatening your species. Do you believe it? It is ... persuasive. 7 centuries of imprisonment have given it time to study human nature through our crew's memories. It knows what we want to hear. The containment field flickered, and for an instant, the shadow touched Kale's mind. Images flooded through him, vast cities of living crystal, beings of pure thought sharing knowledge instantaneously, the end of loneliness and misunderstanding forever. Join us, a voice whispered. Complete what your father began. Kale staggered. Backward, plasma cutter raised. It's trying to get into my head. The field is weakening, Vera warned. You must choose now. Activate the cascade and become a hero like your father, or trust the synthesis and pray it keeps its word. Through the ship's corridors, Kale heard something approaching, the sound of crystal growth, of reality being reshaped. The synthesis was testing its prison, probing for weaknesses. His father had faced this same choice 15 years ago and chosen exile to protect humanity. Now that burden passed to Kale. The cascade control gleamed under the emergency lights, waiting for his decision. Legacy of Stars. Kale's hand hovered over the cascade controls, his father's final words echoing in his mind. That's humanity's advantage. That's why we might survive what's coming. The sound of crystal growth grew louder, accompanied by whispers in languages that predated human speech. The synthesis was no longer asking, it was taking. Vera, scan the ship's crew quarters again, Kale commanded, backing away from the containment field. Show me what really happened to the colonists. Kale, there isn't time. Show me. The chamber filled with holographic recreations. Not the peaceful integration the synthesis had shown him, but the truth. Colonists screaming as crystal formations erupted from their flesh. Children weeping as their parents' minds were consumed, replaced by something alien and hungry. Captain Hayes shooting his own transformed officers to prevent the spread. It doesn't offer unity, Kale realized. It offers replacement. Every human consciousness becomes food for its growth. The containment field sparked and fluctuated. Cracks appeared in the crystalline pillar, and through them, something vast and patient pressed toward freedom. Your father understood eventually. The synthesis whispered directly into his mind. He carried our gift among the stars, spreading us, grain by grain. Soon his sacrifice will bear fruit across human space. No, Kale breathed. He contained himself in exile. He died alone to protect us. Check your scanner, little salvager. What do you think drew you here? With growing horror, Kale looked at his equipment ratings. His ship's computer had detected unusual quantum signatures, the same energy patterns that had guided his father to this vessel 15 years ago. The same patterns that were emanating from Kale himself. It marked me the moment I came aboard, he whispered, as it marked your father. You are carriers now, seeds of change. Leave this place, return to your people, and complete the great work. Kale remembered his father's final lesson, that love and sacrifice were concepts beyond the synthesis's understanding. Marcus had chosen exile, not just to contain the infection, but to deny it the chance to study human civilization through him. Vera, when I activate the cascade, can you guarantee the blast radius will encompass my ship? Yes, but Kale, my father spent 15 years dying alone to protect humanity. I won't dishonor that sacrifice by becoming the weapon that destroys us. The containment field collapsed with a sound like reality tearing. Crystal formations exploded outward, reaching for Kale with tendrils of living light. He felt the synthesis's fury as it realized his intent. You cannot escape us. We are eternal. Maybe, Kale said, slamming his palm down on the cascade controls, but we're stubborn. Alarms screamed as the quantum cascade began building in the ship's core. Through the growing energy storm, Kale saw the synthesis writhing, in genuine fear for the first time in centuries. Vera, transmit everything, all your records, the truth about the Genesis project, the location of other infected sites. Humanity needs to know what's coming. Transmission complete, Vera replied. Kale, your father would be proud. The cascade reached critical threshold. Space itself began to fracture around the Prometheus rising, creating a wounding reality that would burn for millennia. In his final moments, Kale felt no fear, only the satisfaction of a choice well made. The explosion was visible from 3 sectors away, a brilliant star that burned for 7 days before fading. The radiation beacon it created would warn ships away from this region for 1,000 years. In the deep void, monitoring stations recorded the blast and forwarded the attached data to Earth. Scientists would spend decades studying VERA's files, preparing humanity for the threats that lurked between the stars. Kale, Thorne had found his father's legacy at last, not in salvage or treasure, but in the courage to stand against the dark. Like Marcus before him, he had chosen sacrifice over survival, ensuring that humanity would remain human. The stars burned on, and in their light, the species that dared to dream of distant worlds continued its long journey toward tomorrow.